Hi guys, let's start off by reviewing a little bit of Algebra 1. Let's start with linear functions. We all remember graphs that look like this. Let's look at some of their attributes. The x-intercept is where the graph crosses the x-axis, which is this one right here. And this graph crosses the x-axis right where that circle is. These are also called solutions, roots, and zeros, which will be helpful names later on this semester. The y-intercept is where the graph crosses the y-axis, and that is this green one right here. We all remember that. And here is where that graph crosses the y-axis. Slope is rise over run, or rise over run, and run. Remember the change in y values over the change in x values. Our quadratic functions are x squared functions or our parabolas. We all remember these graphs. The vertex is the highest or it's the lowest point on the parabola, and it is written as a coordinate point. And here is our vertex on this quadratic function, and it is the lowest point here. The maximum is going to look like a mountain, and the minimum is going to look like a valley. So this one right here shown is a minimum. Solutions are where the graph crosses the x-axis. Again, there's the x-axis, and it's also known as the zeros or the x-intercepts, remember. Solutions, zeros, x-intercepts, all same thing. And on this graph, the quadratic graph here, there's two crossing the x-axis right there. The axis of symmetry is the x value of the vertex. Remember, the vertex was this lowest point, or it's the highest point if our graph is flipped. And it is written as a point, x comma y. The axis of symmetry is the x value. So we would write that as x equals and whatever number that is. Relations versus functions. A set of ordered pairs is called a relation. A function is a relation where x goes only to one y. That no x values are repeated amongst the ordered pairs, but it's okay if the y values are repeated. And the graph would pass what we call the vertical line test. So let's look at the vertical line test. That's when we have our graph and we take a vertical line. Remember, that's one going up and down, and we pass it along the graph. Now we look at, does the graph cross the vertical line more than once? No, then it equals a function. If it did, it would not be a function. This graph we're looking at right here did not cross more than once, so this is a function. A one-to-one is a function in which each y value has only one x value. So this time, no y values are repeated either. And a graph would pass the horizontal line test. Let's look at that horizontal line test. We got our graph, and we got our horizontal line. Remember, that was one going left to right. And we move it from bottom to top of our graph. And we ask, does the graph cross the horizontal line more than once? Yeah, no, then it's a one-to-one. Yes, then it is not a one-to-one. This passed more than once, so it is not one-to-one.